often hear students say that their dream job out of college is at Infosys or Wipro. I feel sad. I mean, how can a job at an Indian software outsourcing company, a sweatshop like Infosys, Wipro, TCS, or Satyam, be your dream job? How can such a job justify the years, all the money, all the effort that you have put to get that precious college degree? If that is all you want, maybe it's okay. But if you have ever wanted something bigger, something more, something greater for yourself, if you have ever thought of an excellent future for yourself, a future of limitless possibilities, then I strongly urge you to watch along. I made it into Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, after cracking the joint entrance examination or the JEE, which is considered to be the toughest entrance examination in the world. Now, I'm from a tier 3 city, and coming from that tier 3 city and making it into an IIT, which accepts only the top 99 percentile of students, it was huge, it was big. I give this American analogy that imagine somebody from a small town in Idaho or Wyoming who makes it into MIT. It was that big. But I was not ready for the road ahead. You see, when you put a bunch of 99 percentile students into a single class, then half of that class are bound to be in the bottom 50th percentile. It's the basic statistics, it's just basic statistics. And somehow I ended up in that bottom 50th percentile. I was used to being in the top 99 percentile for the first 18 years of my life before I got into IIT. So the life in the bottom 50th percentile, it did not come easy. I had a very low GPA in college. And a low GPA comes with a whole host of baggage. Poor self-esteem, bad self-image, and absolutely zero respect from your peers and professors. It was as if you are forced to wear your GPA around your neck while you are paraded through the streets and the corridors of your college, while your professors and your peers, they throw rotten eggs and rotten tomatoes at you. It was one of those things. But I knew that a GPA or a number could not define me. I was more than a GPA, I was more than a number. I wanted more from IIT, I wanted more from life. But despite my best efforts, my confidence in my own abilities was slowly fading away. And that is a very bad trait. Because if you want to achieve more in life, low confidence is definitely not going to help you. And I was seeing that the academic system was also designed to only help the toppers or the high GPA holders in the class. I could clearly see that all the toppers were walking away with well-paying jobs at McKinsey's and Goldman Sachs and Lehman Brothers back at the time, whereas people like me had to settle for a job in the Indian outsourcing industry. Companies like Infosys, TCS, Wipro. I got a rude awakening in the second year of college when I applied for a summer internship at India's top atomic research institute. And I was denied a summer internship. And the reason was cited that I had a very low GPA. And I asked myself this question that, am I not from an IIT? Am I not from the top college in India? Anyways, at that point, I said to myself, don't get mad, get even. Sometime during the third year of my college, a conversation with a college senior actually changed my perspective. And I won't be lying if I said that that conversation actually changed my life. The name of this college senior was Shankar, and Shankar had just returned from England after doing a 6 month long internship at Imperial College, London. Now, for most American students, an internship in Europe, no big deal. Several American students go there every year. But for a student from India to get a fully paid internship in England is like winning Willy Wonka's golden ticket. Now, there were three things about Shankar's internship that really got my attention. The first thing was that his grades were even worse than mine. You'd be laughing right now, probably. The second thing was that he didn't have any amazing extracurricular activities or any amazing projects on his resume that could, make his resume shine. And finally, the third thing was that he definitely did not have the good looks or the charisma to slip in with his good looks. So, in those circumstances, Shankar getting an internship in England was like me dating Jennifer Aniston. I give this analogy because she was the heartthrob. Jennifer Aniston was the heartthrob of every college student back in our times. So I decided to talk to Shankar and ask him how he did this. It took a really expensive dinner and an even more expensive set of drinks just to get Shankar talking. But that day, Shankar gave me some real golden nuggets of advice. That conversation that night with Shankar changed my life. This is what he said. He said, if you keep doing what everybody else does, you'll get what everybody else gets. The same coursework, the same assignments, the same projects, the same grades, and you end up getting the same soul-sucking job as the rest of them. You get into the same hamster wheel, you get into the same rut. If you want something bigger for yourself, if you want something better for yourself, then you will need to stand out from the crowd. You'll need to differentiate yourself from the crowd. And an internship is the place where students like us get that edge. An internship is the place where a student can differentiate themselves. He said that toppers, the high CGPA holders, they have a red carpet laid out for them. But for the rest of us, for the majority, we have to work doubly hard in order to build a good future for us. Few students understand the value of an internship, but those who do, they strike gold and go on to build an excellent, brilliant future for themselves. I told Shankar that I had tried to find an internship. I applied to the Atomic Research Institute and they turned me down. And Shankar said, that's the problem. You applied to this one Atomic Research Institute where students from all over India apply. What are the chances of you getting an internship with your GPA? That was the problem. And then he told me that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of internship opportunities around the world where students have just not heard of. Only if you dig a bit deeper, instead of just scratching the surface, you can find out about all of these hundreds and thousands of internships. As I was talking to Shankar, an idea struck me. I thought to myself, can I do what Shankar did? Can I get an internship in a foreign country? Can I date Jennifer Aniston? Well, definitely not the last part, but all the rest started seeming feasible. So I spent the next 2 months finding internships all over the world and applying to them. I spent the next 2 months emailing professors, HR contacts, university contacts, if I could find an internship an organized program, a professor who had a research laboratory who was looking for help, I would just shoot an email to that person and tell him that, hello, sir, hello, madam, my name is Aniket Singh, this is my resume, I would be interested in work at your laboratory in the summer. But at the end of around 3 months, all that I had to show for all of that work was rejected emails, ignored emails, and a few partial acceptances. There are two professors I remember who mailed me saying that, well, your resume looks good on paper. Why don't you hop on a plane and come here to my laboratory and work for 3 months? If you have the funds to support yourself, I'll be willing to let you work in my laboratory. At the end of those 3 months, I was almost about to give up. Back in my city, back in the days, we used to have these dictionary salesmen who used to go around knocking at doors trying to sell dictionaries and encyclopedias to everyone. And I felt like one of those dictionary salesmen who's just knocking on doors and frankly, nobody's interested. I almost was about to give up, but something in me said, go on. That pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, that was a big price worth fighting for. And then that magical day arrived. I still remember that day when that magical email popped into my inbox. It was an email from a professor in England who asked me to come to England for a summer internship. And he agreed to cover my airfare, cover my living and boarding expenses. And within the same week, I got another email from another professor in Switzerland for another summer internship, a fully paid summer internship. Within a week, I got 2 fully paid summer internships. I won Willy Wonka's golden ticket, not once, but twice. I interned under the first professor in England that summer. And then the next summer, the next year, I went to Switzerland for another internship. And once I had traveled at that young an age, I developed in me a wanderlust to see more, to explore more. And that wanderlust has stayed in me till this day. By the time I had turned 25, I had already seen multiple countries. I had seen 3 continents. I had seen vistas, eaten foods, tasted wines, and made friends that I would have probably never imagined in my life. Shankar's advice paid off for me big time. In the hindsight, getting that internship was not the difficult part, but believing in myself while I was getting all of those ignored emails, outright rejections, that was the difficult part. Why am I sharing all of this with you? Well, you see, I'm a Toastmaster, and as Toastmasters, we are required to give speeches, talks at various functions, events, and meetings. And back in 2010, I was speaking at a Toastmasters event at a university in Bangalore. And I gave the same speech about my struggles during college, how I found an internship, and how that internship changed me for good. At the end of my speech, a couple of students from the audience came up to me and said that my story was extremely motivating. And one of them said, "Sir, why don't you write a book about it?" I laughed it out. I laughed it off at that time. Who has the time to write a book? We are techies, we are extremely busy. It was back in 2010 and I was getting ready for a relocation to California, United States. And then sometime in 2016, I was asked to speak at another Toastmasters event, this time in California at a university. At the end of my speech, I gave a similar speech about how internships can change students and about my struggles in college and the internship. And this time, a faculty member from the university came up and said, "Hey, Aniket, why don't you write a book about it? This is so motivating." And this time, said to myself, maybe I can write a book about it. Maybe I should write a book about it. Maybe I will write a book about it. And I did write a book finally. The book was titled Intern Abroad This Summer. I have included the links to the book in the description of the video. Do check it out if you have some time. It was really interesting sharing my thoughts with you today. And thanks a lot for listening. All the best. Have a great day. Aniket Singh.